Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, coming to you from the Ventura Cigar Company studio. With me today is Jiunn Liu. How you doing, Jiunn?
Pretty good.
So today we are talking about the Cubariqueño Protocol Double Corona. Cigar is 7.5 inches by, I would say, maybe 48-50 ring gauge. Comes out of the La Zona factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper's Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro. Binder is Nicaraguan Habano, and the filter's from Nicaragua. It is blended by Hector Alfonso, and this is a cigar that actually wasn't released. It was just made for the owners of the brand, and they were kind enough to gift us a couple of these, so we thought it'd be a fun review to do. I think these are from the original run of cigars, so they've probably got 3 or 4 years of age on them or something like that.
Okay.
So with all that out of the way, Jiunn, how about you take us through your smoking experience?
That makes a little bit more sense. I didn't get that kind of a punch that I typically get with the other Protocol Blue lines. But anyways, so I mean, this is a massive cigar, right? So you said like 7.5 at 50 ring gauge. Really nice wrapper. It was just interesting by itself because, there's not that many double Coronas out there in the market in general, especially within the non-Cuban industry. So it was pretty neat to like see something of this like massiveness, I guess. So smoking flavor wise, the started out really nice. I mean, it's got like this bread biscuity kind of thing going on. Smoking through it a bit more. Got some nice tannins on the palate. Started getting a little bit of a sharper minerality, red pepper spice to it as well as the cigar continued. When you retrohale the cigar, it's a pretty, it's more on the aggressive side. Still, it has a good combination of minerals and that red pepper spice. So, within these notes, these are all like kind of wood spice based notes. So you don't get a lot of like the softer like bready kind of notes to it when you do that when you retro. Finish tannins forward, really long lingering cedar note. Strength was medium full, body medium. And basically within all of these notes that I just said, it kind of stayed like this for the entire I think I smoked this for like 3.5 hours or so. So it was pretty straightforward kind of notes, kind of monotonous, but nonetheless, the actual notes were pretty good. In terms of construction, I rated both the draw and the burn to be very good. So not quite perfection, just a little shy of it, mainly due to some pretty flaky ashes, a couple of touch-ups, and then the draw was it was a bit looser, significantly looser, I would probably say. But I didn't dock it too much because, I didn't ever felt like the cigar heated up from it.
Right. Yeah, for me, the cigar started with a mix of wood and mustiness. There was a little bit of chalkiness that kind of became present from time to time. Retrohale carried much the same profile, that musty wood and light chalkiness. A little further in, a faint vegetal note kind of joined the profile, and then about 1.75 inches, the profile was showing a little effervescence to it. As the first row was wrapping up, the wood became more defined as oak. Mustiness kind of maintained its role, and the chalkiness was still present kind of at random intervals. Strength in the first third was right around the mild medium mark. Getting in the second third, the mustiness began to increase. About a half-inch in, I was getting a kind of a faint lemon citrus note to it. Then about an inch in, that lemon note goes away. Some light dry earth kind of joins the profile. Then about 1.5 inches in, a little char enters. Retrohale's kind of more of a musty oak there. And then as the second third's wrapping up, musty oak and earthiness were at equal levels. A little faint char to it. Strength bumped up to slightly below medium. And then getting into the final third, char started to increase. About an inch in, the char had the lead in the profile. Retrohale brought a slightly charred and musty oak. And then about 1.5 inches in, the char had a kind of a stranglehold on the profile as it was really far up front. A little bit of bitterness had joined in as well. The strength bumped up to slightly above medium in that final third. In regards to construction, the burn line was a little bit wavy throughout. At one point, I touched up the cigar. It was getting a little bit light on smoke production. Just needed kind of a little bit of help keep going on. And then in regards to the draw, though, I thought it was perfect. It had just the right amount of resistance that I preferred. So overall, Jiunn, what were your thoughts on this one?
You and I had very different experiences. I mean, overall, take it into consideration first of, not for sale, perhaps a true unicorn, if you could even call cigars really that. even though you could make it again.
Yeah.
So it's so the way I think about double Coronas is very similar to how I think about double Coronas in like Cuban cigar territory and just in general. So I think in general, when you have such a huge size cigar that takes like 3+ hours to smoke through, like it needs to keep my attention.
Hmm.
So, I especially look for like building complexities and perhaps some like transitions in here and there as the cigar rolls through. So I didn't get that with this cigar. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Very few double Coronas actually meet my expectations for that. But what I could also say is, with the actual notes that I did get out of it, they're good. I mean, if you are a fan of protocols like the blue line, there's no reason why you wouldn't like this one. I mean, after us reviewing so many of the Vitolas within this line, we still think Corona Gorda is the Corona Gorda is by far the favorite for me, just because I feel like it's just a right combination of like rapper influence and filler influence, and just enough of a smoking time where you're like, okay, I feel satisfied. Whereas something like this, I feel like, okay, I'm halfway through it. I'm like, well, I think I kind of know what this is about. It's not really turning any corners, but I'm like 3.5 hours is a little too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with everything you said. I mean, double Corona size, you either have to really like the flavors that it's producing if it's going to stay that way the entire way, or you need some transitions. You need a little bit of complexity to kind of keep your attention as the thing goes along. I just kind of felt like the cigar kind of waned through each third. So I thought it was good in the first third and became kind of average in the second third, and then kind of became a little bit subpar in the final third with so much char and things like that. But I do feel like, based on the age of the cigar, I think it had lost a little bit of punch to it than if you smoked a newer iteration of this. Not to say that it's bad or anything like that. Just it's not what I know as the Protocol Blue line. So I felt was a unique smoke. I thought it would be interesting for us to do a review on, just because I know you talk about double Coronas quite a bit and things like that, and we're always kind of looking for the good ones. But not to say this isn't a good cigar. It just in this Vitola, I think it's really hard to make it work well. I think this kind of met with that struggle that it happens. But yeah, I think going forward, I'd much rather smoke a shorter Vitola. It could be in any other size. But yeah, Corona Gorda or the Lancero or something like that, something along those lines works out well. But it was fun to smoke. Anytime you can smoke something that's not produced for kind of public consumption, there's always a unique factor to it. So it's fun to go through. So let's get into the scores. You gave it a 7. I gave it a 5.73. How do you think that 7 matched up with your experience?
I mean, pretty well. This kind of goes without saying. I didn't take any consideration into this being not for sale, very limited, sort of a thing. It's just purely based upon the smoking experience, the burn and draw, right? Like any other cigar review. So, given that, I still think it's a good score. It's a solid score, but it's nothing to kind of get super hyped up about.
Yeah, my 5.73 matches up well. I mean, it's about an average flavor profile if you kind of take all the thirds into consideration. Construction was pretty good. A little bit of issue with the burn going on, but otherwise, it's a good cigar. I don't see myself wanting to sit down with it for 3+ hours, very often. So I'd rather smoke a shorter Vitola.
I totally agree. I also kind of feel like, whenever you have something this big of a cigar, unless if it's like a really flavor-forward Cuban cigar, like dare I say mild Cuban cigar, like I started getting there's a level of like getting like there's definitely disinterest, right? After going through like especially getting to the last third. There's still to some extent also I kind of felt like there was a bit of a palate fatigue going on by the end of it. And at that point it's like you kind of think, well, I guess I'm just puffing just to puff. So.
Yeah, I mean, especially if there's no change ups in the flavor profile, there's no nuance or complexity. If you're just working on the same notes the entire way, if they're not, if they stay at the same level, I don't know the right word to use, but if you're thinking of sound, if you're same volume, if they're not starting to crescendo, you kind of lose. You may not even be able to taste it as well, just because your palate is so
Yeah.
used to that same flavor. It's hard to kind of keep into it.
You
So
kinda
it needs to build over time.
Yeah, it's almost like you start tuning it out, right? Like you take a song and if it's just a drum beat, like after listening for like 30 minutes, you're like, okay, I lost interest. I don't
Yeah,
hear it anymore.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's the nature of the vitola. It has nothing to do with this particular cigar. I think the majority of people that make a cigar of this probably hit this roadblock. And very rare is it,
Absolutely.
this vitola or the diadema, both very hard vitolas, I think, to pull off really well. So
Mhm.
there's no harm in not being able to live up to a stellar cigar under this vitola. So,
Yep.
any other final thoughts from you on this?
Nope.
All right. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Follow us on all the social media channels, and you can catch all of our reviews on podcast, iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. I was also going to say Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you on the next one.